There are additional challenges when we install a SCSI host adapter and a SCSI chain. First, we have to decide what SCSI standard to use. As you'll remember, there is fast SCSI, there is wide SCSI, and then there is also fast and wide SCSI, also called ultra SCSI. So based on what we're doing and the performance that we need to have and our budget, we choose a SCSI standard. Then the host adapter has to be made for the correct expansion slot. In other words, typically we're going to use an ISA expansion slot, so we have to make sure that we have an ISA slot available on the computer. We'll also need to decide whether we want a bus mastering host adapter. These are a little bit more expensive, but they don't have to interrupt the processor as much because they can do some of their thinking for themselves. We can also choose between host adapters that support several SCSI standards, as in this host adapter, which supports SCSI 1, 2, and 3 on the different devices. And we can also use a single-ended differential SCSI, which is self-terminating. And then there's what's called SCAM, which is like plug and play, but for SCSI. Then once we've made all of these choices, it's time to install the SCSI adapter. We install the card in the ISA expansion slot, and if necessary, we change or verify the settings for the host adapter using the setup program on the floppy disk that's provided with the host adapter. And then because Windows supports the host adapter, it loads the device drivers automatically and it installs the host adapter. So now the hardware is installed, and now what we have to do is configure the software to the hardware. Typically we do this with special software that came with the host adapter. It usually uses a DOS-based program which looks something like this, and we use this screen to configure the SCSI host adapter and the SCSI chain. After we have configured the chain, we'll be able to see it on Device Manager, and we'll be able to tell what resources it used. So in summary, in this chapter, we've talked about the procedures and guidelines common to most installations of input-output devices, and how to use serial, parallel, USB, IEEE 1394 ports, and then how to use expansion slots. And then also some additional procedures and challenges when installing SCSI. In our next chapter, we'll talk about multimedia.